Well, in 1970, Dr. Kenneth Berg founded John Knox Village. So 54 years ago, and the chapel came just shortly after the village was founded. And Dr. Berg really focused on three things: mind, body, and spirit. He recognized that we are all spiritual beings. And so he wanted to make sure that we had not only physical activities for residents and intellectual stimulation, but also a spiritual focus. So I think over these last 50 years, the chapel has done some remarkable things and really represents who the village is and what we're trying to accomplish here. And I would really summarize it in three main words that I would use to describe the chapel and what we've tried to do here over the years. The first one is hope. And I think really hope for tomorrow. Most of our residents have the majority of their years behind them. They've had lots of losses. Maybe that's loss of some physical ability. Maybe that's loss of a spouse. But we still have hope for tomorrow. And the chapel is a wonderful way to really express that hope. The second word I think of is love. And really love, while hope is for tomorrow, love is for today. And we want to make sure that our residents experience the love from other residents, from associates, the love of God, and that they feel that love. We are emotional and spiritual beings. We need to feel love. That's what this chapel represents. So we have hope, we have love, and then the third word I think of is peace. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world today. There's a lot of things that are happening all around us, a lot of uncertainty that's happening, a lot of war, a lot of conflict. And so the chapel is a place that can really represent a place of peace, peace for the soul, and really a peace for eternity. So hope, love, and peace. That's what this chapel has represented for 50 years. It's a message that we hope emanates not just in this chapel, but throughout the village, because this place has been really a place for worship, a place for prayer, a place for memorial services, and yes, a place for weddings. Don't know if we've done any baby dedications here, but there have been all kinds of events and services that really helps us to focus on our spiritual things. So I often say that we want to help make residents' last days their best days. And that's what the village is all about. We think that's really important. We think that's possible. And one of the ways it really can be accomplished is through the chapel, the work of the chaplains, and the work of all that are involved in this really important dimension of John Knox Village life.
Well, as a former employee and now a retiree, it's impacted me personally because I now go to the Wednesday morning church service with St. Paul's Episcopal Church, which I went to for 31 years. So it's great that I can be over here now. And when I was an associate, I used to take an hour, one of my lunches every week, and go to the little prayer room and join some other residents and employees. And I really love that. I just think it's important to have the church service, and that is an outreach ministry of St. Paul's. They've been doing it for over 20 years. They come every Wednesday at 10 o'clock, and I love that church, so it's been very special to have them be over here. And for those of us that aren't as independent, then we can go to church every week. So, yeah, it's been really special.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Bev Weddle. I was a chaplain here at John Knox Village for almost 25 years. I retired in 2019, so it's been about 30 years since I started working in the chapel. At that time, the chapel had not been renovated, and so we had green plaid carpet and dark pews in the chapel. And it's interesting because some of the residents thought that was just fine and that we shouldn't renovate. But I am thankful that they went ahead and renovated, and we have a beautiful chapel. At that time, we had services in the chapel every Sunday night. We had many volunteers to help. They helped with actually helping us with the services, with the music, with playing the piano, taking up the offering, helping with communion. We had some really wonderful times in the chapel. After the renovation, we had chairs. People donated money for chairs, but we still needed some other types of furniture in there. And so with the help of Hobby Hut and the men there and their skills, we had several items built for the chapel. They built us a new pulpit, a new altar, tables to set things on. Dwayne Wise was leading that, and he actually even made new frames for our pictures in there. One of the residents actually did a painting, and you'll look in the back of the chapel, and his name was David Maxey. He was a wonderful painter, even painting up in his 80s. And so the painting in the back of the chapel was painted by David Maxey. The prayer room, I really wanted a prayer room in a renovated chapel. We didn't have one in the old chapel. And thanks to the foundation, they were able to raise the money to get a prayer room there. We used the prayer room. We had prayer groups in there. It was also a place where people could go for private prayer. The praying hand, stained glass praying hand window that is in the prayer room was not originally there. One of the residents, Francis Powell, donated the money for us to be able to put that stained glass praying hands there. We actually went over to the stained glass store right around the corner and picked out every piece of stained glass that was to go in to that stained glass window, and I think it's really beautiful. The stained glass windows that are in the chapel now were put there by Dr. Berg. He was the pastor at one time of the Presbyterian Church downtown, and that church was being torn down in the renovation to build the Presbyterian Church here across the street. And they kept the windows out of that church to put in our chapel. And so those are historic windows and very expensive, and I'm glad they decided to leave those in the renovation and keep those in our chapel. So we really had some wonderful times in the chapel, great memories. I hope there are many more memories made as the years go by. I'm thankful this 50 years of the chapel, and I thank you for asking me to come and share with you today.
Well, the fact that John Knox built a chapel originally anyhow certainly reflects the caring community that we live in. Ever since we moved in, we've been a part of groups at the chapel, our prayer group, and we've been here for memorial services or special events that we've had here. And of course, we have the food pantry now.
It's beneficial to residents as well as associates if they're in need. And that's a good thing that we can do that. The prayer room is a wonderful place as far as I'm concerned. If you want to be alone with God and have your prayer time and your devotional time, it's quiet, peaceful, a nice retreat. The prayer groups that meet here, the sing-along meets here on a weekly basis.
And they have Bible studies. And it's just available, It's a quiet retreat. We are a caring community here. And to provide this service, I think, is significant.
It's nice that the residents, particularly that are without transportation, have a place to come on the campus with dial-a-ride or walking, whatever.
We've been to a lot here, and it's convenient for people that don't have transportation.
How I become involved in the chapel is the food pantry is located in the chapel, both the food pantry itself and also the food pantry storeroom. Chapel is a wonderful place to come and work and enjoy, rejoice, and be thankful. It gives me an opportunity to meet the people in the village, both the associates as well as the residents, And it's a great pleasure to visit with them because they have all kinds of information, stories, good stories, and they always leave here with a smile on their face with food in their hand. That's my job pay. I love it. And it's just a very good feeling to be able to help somebody out like that. Another strength of the chapel and the pantry is residents in the area have formed coffee groups and various meetings that they go to, social type things. They have come to me and asked if there's some way they could help donate to the food pantry. And so I give them one item a month to concentrate on so they don't be confused with several items. And they collect several boxes of cereal as an example. And it helps the food pantry stock a lot. As we grow a shortage of certain products in the pantry, I take the shopping card that John Knox has with Hy-Vee and buy additional supplies to make up for the shortfalls when donations are slowed down or busy or whatever. And that's how we keep an adequate supply of merchandise here.
As a history of the chapel, I've been able to see it in actually kind of like two different worlds. And the life of the chapel has actually taken on two different themes in a way, because when I first came, and for quite a bit of the time, all those first years, the chapel actually faced the other direction. It was very dark. It was hard to see in here, that we didn't have a whole lot of light. It was very about the time that it was built, of course, so it was dated. But there were long pews that people had to walk sideways in. They still used it for Sunday evening and Wednesday midweek gatherings. And we had a very faithful crowd that enjoyed the organ and the piano. And we even had some of the choral groups that would use the chapel, but it was very difficult to see. So when we remodeled it, they raised the ceiling and made it very, very bright. And then they put some big glass doors to make it welcoming to the outside community. And then they made sure that we had a beautiful stained glass here that invites all denominations and all faiths to come and use it. And that's why the chapel, I think, has taken on a new light. Other groups feel welcome using it, and that we felt welcome to put the food pantry in. And so all of those things make it more inviting, and even when we have then outside groups, they feel like they can come, and it just fits them. Somehow in the design of the new chapel here, the Catholic Mass feel welcome, the Episcopal group feel welcome, and we have an outside women's group that likes to use it mainly because it is non-sectarian and non-specific in any one religion or faith. It feels reassuring that we have a spiritual presence in the community. It's not just one denomination, and it feels welcoming and unifying for us. That doesn't mean everybody uses it all the time, but they're reminded every day when the carillons and the chimes go off, and one of our residents wanted to make sure that we had that as a welcoming sound anyway to let people know that the chapel is here.
Before we moved here 10.5 years ago, I really thought that I would be in the apartment and John would be the one going out and getting involved in everything, and I'd be in the apartment and I wouldn't know a soul because this place just seemed too big. But I have just appreciated so much having the chaplains available, and to have the beautiful chapel that we have that was created 50 years ago. I don't think there are probably any other retirement centers that have anything like we do. And that means an awful lot to me, because I wanted to continue with my spiritual growth, and those things that I have been involved in, BSF and prayer group and the hymn sing, have really helped tremendously. I just love to sing hymns, and I enjoy playing the piano. And So I thought, well, it would really be fun to get together and sing the hymns that we don't get to sing regularly in our church services. It's fun to be able to sing the old-time favorites. And some people say, well, you wouldn't want to hear me sing. And we say, you don't have to. You can come and just listen. And we have a new lady in our building that says she wants to do that. And I'm really thrilled, really.
I've lived here for about 2.5 years, and I joined the prayer group maybe at least a year ago. But I used to come here frequently just to sit. A lot of times that light is on behind me, and it's a serene place to sit. I enjoy it here. I do play the piano a lot over here, and that's something I just love to do. And secretly, with nobody listening, I'll go play the organ over here too, because I love playing the organ. So that's impacted me in a great way, kind of thing. The prayer group is just has been a blessing for me. We have anywhere between 8 and 10 or 12 people that are here, but it's impacted them in a way that they feel very comfortable about praying for others. And a lot of it is just because this is here. This building is here. We could meet other places. I certainly understand that. But again, the serenity here, the prayer room that's over there, and I've used that for myself, but I've also used it for talking with people that just need to talk about something. And it's a great thing. It's impacted others. It's impacted me a lot. And I use the word serenity a lot, but it really is a quiet place to be. And this probably for us is even kind of like home, but enjoy it.
Well, we met here and kind of did some research about if we could afford to get married and found a way we could do it so we could afford it. And there was no other place to go because we met here and we go to church here every Wednesday morning at the Episcopal service. My family was happy. They were here. Part of Ron's family was here. And it was just big enough for family, and it was perfect. I've sung in this chapel for a long time. I've sung in this chapel since it was built. I'd sing on the Sunday evening Vesper services a long time ago. They don't have them anymore. There used to be birds down the hall a long time ago, and I'd sing and the birds would chirp. So it was.
When I moved here to John Knox about 16 years ago, I was absolutely thrilled to learn we had a chapel, and they had chapel services here on Wednesday and Sunday afternoon about 4 o'clock. I jumped right in and got started coming to those services, and before I knew it, I was deeply involved in chapel ministries. We enjoyed many good times of worship and fellowship together. We also had weekly noondays prayer meetings. I've attended several weddings and many funerals here in this room and special occasions. I just enjoy being with Christian people and doing the things that they do, singing and praying and worshiping and reaching out to others. I do have a seniors group on Seniors on Mission, where we study about missions and work with missionaries from around the world. We started working with Operation Christmas Child maybe about 10 years ago. And at first, we just had a small group of us working on it. And then Bev Weddle suggested that we make it campus-wide. And once we did that, we got a lot more boxes for the children who are around the world who don't have Christmas. So these past few years, we've had as many as 100 boxes to contribute to the Operation Christmas Child project. Oh, it makes me feel really good.
You know, the chapel is about connection, and the whole village is about connection. And what inspires me is how I see individuals, real people connected and touched. You know, at Easter time, for example, we have a fantastic food pantry ministry at the chapel. And so we had someone who called me, and they bought this huge ham because they had a lot of family coming in. Well, family decided not to, and she asked me, what she could do with this ham. So I certainly said, why don't you give it to the food pantry because someone will need it. So we have an associate who has 5 children and works here at the village very hard, and it's a struggle for her and her family. And I was so glad when you came in to tell her that we had a huge ham that would provide for her family over Easter. And I can't tell you the impact that it made on an associate and for her children and her Easter. But also recently, I was called by one of our associates whose mom lived here and who passed away, and asked me to do the celebration of life funeral here in the chapel. And it was so meaningful, not only to this dear associate, but also to many associates come to the chapel and fill it up to celebrate her mom, who's a resident at the village, her life. And so it's so much about connection. I've sat here on many occasions when residents would come in and want to talk to me and for counsel, for encouragement. We have prayer groups, we have Bible studies, we have services, we have a prayer room. There's so much connection going on here in the chapel. And I'm so glad for 50 years now that it's been a light for so many people who use it and meet people, celebrate together, and find hope together. So the chaplain, I'm delighted that we can celebrate the 50 years of touching lives here in the chapel.